Monty Jones and Elle Duncan have teamed up to do what seemingly every person of color, a.k.a. every African-American in the WNBA, around the WNBA, and in media are doing. They're coming at the 22-year-old white straight girl, Caitlyn Clark. Because, see, here's the deal. Because Caitlyn Clark can throw a ball into a basket deeper and better than anybody in the history of women's basketball. Because Caitlyn Clark plays with a flair.
Breanna Stewart's never going to win another championship. Or, Nafisa Collier's better than Maya Moore. Like, instead of those kinds of hot takes, the hot takes solely and explicitly surround all of these black women.
In recent months, ESPN has been swept into controversy, with some of its female commentators drawing criticism over their treatment of Caitlyn Clark, a rising basketball star redefining the sport with her talent and humility. Instead of embracing her achievements, figures like Elle Duncan have seemingly chosen to undermine her ascent. Duncan, in particular, has used her platform on ESPN not just to critique Clark's game, but to target her supporters. In a recent segment, she suggested Clark benefits from a privileged bubble, disconnected from the struggles faced by many of her black peers. This claim, while provocative, misrepresents Clark's reality. Her rise is the result of tireless effort and unshakable discipline, not entitlement. Reducing her success to privilege ignores her impact and undercuts the inclusive spirit of athletic excellence she embodies.
And then to have someone come in who has been amazing for the game, for the sport, of her own volition, worked really hard in Caitlyn Clark, but to have this group of people come in and immediately invalidate the contributions of all of these women before her simply because they don't know, that's what's been frustrating, So yes, people are going to talk about it more, but oh my God, please just educate yourself so that you can have bad takes that involve basketball and not bad takes that send racism and misogyny into the timelines of these women. It's unfair. The second that you show love to anybody not named Caitlyn Clark, you are part of, some constituency that's trying to keep her contributions at a minimum, and you're racist, and we get a lot of that. It's no wonder that the W coverage is all black women, because you're all in it together to try to keep her down. It's just, you're kind of damned if you do and you're damned if you don't.
Caitlyn Clark has been unfairly portrayed as living in a bubble, detached from the lived experiences of those she competes against. But that narrative simply doesn't hold up. The truth is, Clark has played alongside and against athletes from all backgrounds, earning respect through her talent, humility, and competitive spirit. Far from being isolated, she's breaking barriers, not hiding behind them. The real issue with Elle Duncan's criticism is that it's built on shaky ground. What began as critiques of Clark's performance have morphed into attacks on her fan base, a shift that suggests something deeper: envy. Unable to discredit Clark's dominance on the court, Duncan has resorted to personal jabs,
these type of women,
revealing
She's
more about her own biases
around,
than about Clark herself.
Black women or women from different parts of the country. Like, she's sort of existed in this bubble.
How arrogant is this? Now, seriously, how arrogant is this? Honest to God, this is as arrogant as you can possibly be. I mean, I hear all the time, don't judge me. Don't judge me by the color of the skin. Don't judge me. Really? Okay. Well, what are you doing? What are you doing? You're sitting there and judging me. You're judging a woman you have no idea. None. Zero.
Elle Duncan, who often centers race in her commentary, has now turned Caitlyn Clark's success into a conversation about privilege. Let's call it what it is: jealousy. Dan Dockich, known for speaking bluntly, rightly pointed out the glaring double standards at play. Duncan, who claims to advocate for justice and equity, seems more focused on tearing down a young athlete whose only offense is excelling at the highest level. And it's not just Duncan. There's a troubling pattern emerging at ESPN, where several female commentators, primarily women of color, appear to be working in concert to downplay Clark's accomplishments. This isn't legitimate criticism of her performance. It's a targeted effort to diminish her success, driven by personal bias rather than fair analysis or professional integrity.
This woman is box office. plus she can play. And the combination of the two would ultimately give all of those wonderful ladies for the wonderful work that they had done over so many years. It would have been validated, even though it came through the conduit was her. Ultimately, it stood to benefit the collective whole. And rather than some out there accepting and embracing that, they resented it, and they tried to use the contributions of others who came before Caitlyn Clark to justify their vitriol, instead of owning the fact that what really was their objective and what really was their agenda is that they resented the fact that this young lady who came into the league, took it by storm, and drew in a level of attention that they weren't able to they weren't able to draw. That was the reality.
Some women at ESPN are clearly upset because Caitlyn Clark is achieving milestones they never could, and it shows. Let's not sugarcoat it. Stephen A. Smith nailed it. This is pure resentment. Instead of uplifting a generational talent who's bringing unprecedented attention to women's basketball, they've let personal biases cloud their judgment. Caitlyn Clark isn't the villain. She's a history-making athlete elevating the WNBA. Shannon Sharpe, always direct, called out the jealousy head-on. He pointed out that the criticism Clark faces isn't just from ESPN commentators, but from within the WNBA itself. This isn't about fair analysis. It's about bitterness towards someone breaking barriers.
A lot of this noise came by people that were sitting on this network. They tried to minimize her, saying, well, you giving her all this credit. What about the women that came before her? What the women came before her, what they did cannot be taken away. That ain't got nothing to do with Caitlyn Clark. But there was a lot of people tried to make sure they keep Caitlyn Clark in her place, because what you're doing, if you give her all this shine, you minimize what they done. You can't minimize what Maya Moore or Candace Parker or Lisa Leslie or Lauren Jackson or Diana Taurasi or Simone Augustus or any of the other great players. That Caitlyn Clark, what she's doing doesn't minimize what they've done, but we should have been giving her the credit. We saw the ratings, we saw the merchandise sales, we saw the attendance, but y'all want to make it about something else. Oh, what about the women that laid the foundation? What about this? What about it? That ain't got nothing to do with Caitlyn Clark. Caitlyn Clark is box office. She's doing this. And instead of giving her credit, y'all tried to make it about, oh, y'all poo-pooing the old guard. Y'all never talked about the old guard like this. Nah, I ain't gonna let it slide. Caitlyn Clark, unanimous rookie of the year. But what's even more impressive, she's first team WNBA. First.
Caitlyn Clark has done nothing but dominate on the court. Yet some former players and commentators are upset simply because she's achieving what they couldn't. Shannon Sharpe highlighted the core issue. Instead of welcoming a player who's bringing unprecedented attention to women's basketball, many at ESPN appear threatened by her rise. But it's more than jealousy, it's arrogance. Dan Dakich recently addressed this on air, calling out what he sees as growing arrogance among certain women at ESPN who continue to belittle Clark. Their criticism isn't based on genuine analysis, he argued, but on an effort to tear down what they themselves lack. Caitlyn Clark's undeniable skill deserves recognition, not resentment.
Everybody that I know still know what ESPN tells me, it's so ridiculous, these women. It's so ridiculous. There's a green room right next to where the makeup is. It's loud, it's stupid, it's asinine, it's absurd. And that's Elle Duncan and her little cast of cronies. And all the little girls at ESPN, look, all they are is trying to make themselves, well, not better, more popular. And I don't care what they do. Elle Duncan has lived in that bubble forever. Elle Duncan is full of shit here. Well, they have teamed up in their stupidity. They have teamed up and decided that Caitlyn Clark, the 22-year-old out of Iowa, doesn't have the depth. It turns out to be bullshit. It turns out to be nonsense. It turns out to be fake, false, and somebody trying to ride for that cap money. Yo.
Some of the women at ESPN are driven by arrogance, unable to accept that Caitlyn Clark, through her talent and humility, is the one capturing the spotlight. Dan Dakich made a crucial observation. The attacks on Clark aren't really about her, game or character, but about how her excellence disrupts the status quo. She's not just a great player. She's redefining the sport, Yet critics keep dragging her into narratives she doesn't belong in. A clear example is the constant comparisons between Caitlyn Clark and Angel Reese. While Clark has quietly dominated with grace, Reese has often sought attention through behavior that sharply contrasts with Clark's humility and focus. The difference speaks volumes.
Caitlyn Clark is nice. She doesn't wear booty shorts. She doesn't shake her ass. She has a boyfriend, seems very humble. I mean to tell you, I saw yesterday Angel Reese is wearing shorts that are up her ass and shaking her ass at something, and good for her.
While Caitlyn Clark stays locked in on the game, Angel Reese often seems more focused on grabbing headlines, whether it's through flashy antics or off-court attention-seeking. It's a contrast many notice but few are willing to say out loud. Clark is all about basketball, while Reese appears more invested in the spotlight. The numbers back it up. Since Clark entered the WNBA, viewership has surged nearly 40%, and fan engagement is soaring. Her presence isn't just impactful, it's transformational. Caitlyn Clark isn't just a rising star, she's the superstar the league has long been waiting for.
The Fever has been involved in 3 of the 4 TV games that have garnered 1.3 million average viewers this season. Entering this past weekend, these are the most watched WNBA games. Are you ready for this? In over 2 decades. ABC announced it had its most viewed opening weekend doubleheader ever, with 2 games combined to average 1.5 million viewers. That marks a 143% increase from a WNBA doubleheader on ABC a year ago. Did you know that? Did you know that? Did you know that?
The WNBA saw a major spike in viewership this season, largely thanks to Caitlyn Clark's highly anticipated debut. Her impact is undeniable. No amount of criticism from Elle Duncan or others can take that away. As the league continues to grow, Clark will remain a central figure, inspiring the next generation of athletes and helping to elevate the game to new heights.
Clark just came in to play basketball. All of a sudden, the black women of the WNBA decided to knock her on her ass from behind. All of a sudden, the black women, Angel Reese and her teammates, decided to cheer for that. All of a sudden, other black women decided to tackle her at half court. All of a sudden, other black women decided, like Asia Wilson, to be idiots when talking about her, jealous when they're talking about her. Caitlyn Clark and her fans didn't start anything. Caitlyn Clark just came into the league and a bunch of fans rooted for her. But all of a sudden, Kennedy Carter's knocking her on her ass from behind. What do you think people are...
Caitlyn Clark is the future of basketball, and no amount of arrogant commentary from ESPN's female pundits can change that.